friends, I'm Katie from Lady Red Crafting, and today I'm showing you how to create high-end looking decor without breaking the bank. So let's get started. For this beautiful decor piece, we're going to start out with a frame from the Dollar Tree and a beautiful napkin from HomeGoods. To prep our napkin for our project, we are going to go ahead and remove the back two layers of the napkin. We only want that top layer because that's what we're going to use for our decoupage. Next, let's go ahead and prep our frame. To do this, I'm going to be removing the back layers of the frame. So this is pretty easy to do with these Dollar Tree frames. There's just little tabs there that you bend back, and then they have these little cardboard pieces in there to hold the mat in place. Now this mat is fairly thin, so you do need to be a little bit careful with it. It will work just fine for this craft, but if you wanted something a little bit more robust, you may want to purchase a thicker mat. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that this mat doesn't move around, so I'm adding a little bit of painter's tape to the bottom of the mat. Next, I'm just going to be taping this down to my surface here. And this is just a tile slab, so it'll be pretty easy to clean up after I'm done. Now I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to paint a nice coat of Mod Podge over the top of the entire mat. Now once that mat has completely dried, we are going to go ahead and take that napkin that we prepped earlier and we're going to lay that over the top of our mat. Once we've done that, I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper and layer that on top. And using my hot iron, this is actually just a mini press that's like a hot iron. We're going to go ahead and iron over the top of the napkin, and this is going to reactivate the Mod Podge so that everything will stick nice and neat. Next, I'm going to go ahead and remove that tape on the back side of the mat. Then I grab my zip sander and I'm going to sand in a downward motion around the perimeter of the mat. This is going to leave a really nice finished edge on everything. Now, once we have the perimeter finished, I am going to come in with some little sharp scissors here. And for the center of our mat, I'm going to cut a rectangle out of the napkin in the center area, leaving about a ½ inch of the napkin around the whole entire thing. So you'll kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm just cutting out just a small rectangle. And once we have that removed, we are going to cut just a small slit into the corners of our frame. And I'm trying to explain this in a way that makes sense, but you're going to probably want to just watch it on the screen. I'm just taking the scissors, I'm just cutting a slit, and then right before I hit where the mat is, we're going to stop. Now I'm going to just fold over the napkin to the back side of the mat. And this is going to help us give a nice finished look on the whole inside of this frame. And to secure the napkin on the back side of our frame, I am using my Mod Podge and I'm just doing a light coat, and then I'll fold the napkin over on top of it, and then we'll just smooth it out to make sure everything's nice and smooth. And then we just repeat that same step for the other three sides of our mat. Now, while our mat is drying, I went ahead and I grabbed the insert from the picture frame, and I'm just doing a quick measurement here, and then I'm going to take a piece of off-white cardstock, and I'm going to cut a piece of cardstock to match the insert for our frame. For the center of my frame, I did want to do something that was inspirational. So I am using this silk screen that I got on Amazon a few years ago, and it says the word dreams. And I'm using that, and I'm going to center that right in the center of my piece of cardstock. Now it is a little bit larger than the cardstock, so what I'm going to do is I'm taking some painter's tape and I'm going to put that onto my silk screen to know where to stop painting. Then I'm going to take my redesigned chalk paste in Blue Boar, and I'm going to go ahead and squeegee that over the top of my piece. Then we'll go ahead and remove that silk screen. Once we have that silk screen removed and everything is dry, we can put this whole piece back together. And now here is what our beautiful decoupage decor piece looks like. I just love how this looks. I think this is such a fun piece to do. And the technique of decoupaging your mat inside your frame is something that you can take with you and do with a lot of different projects. Now I would love to hear from you. What word is your inspirational word? Let me know down in the comments below. This quick and easy decor piece is only 2 items from the Dollar Tree. I am taking this beautiful flower, this metal flower that I found in their decor section, and this circle frame that I found over in the picture frame section. So starting with this circle frame, I'm going to go ahead and just give it a nice cleaning to make sure that the glass is nice and pretty. Once I've done that on the front side, we're going to flip this over and we're going to remove the decals that are on our piece here. So the flower decal on here was super simple to peel off. I was able just to peel it off with my fingers. No extra tools required. Now, to get the welcome off of our piece, that was a little bit trickier. So I took some Goo Gone and I sprayed a little bit of the Goo Gone on top of the welcome. And then once I did that, I took a cloth and I took that cloth and I started just rubbing off what I could on that piece off. And to get a little bit more power behind my scrubbing, I took my Cricut scraping tool and I went ahead and I used that on top of the cloth. And this allowed for me to just get a little bit more oomph in my scrub to get that welcome off of my piece. Now, I would love to hear from you guys. I wonder if there was a better way to do this. So if you have any suggestions on how I could have removed this better, please leave them down in my comments below. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Now, once we have everything removed, I went back in with my Windex and I went ahead and cleaned both sides of this piece again, just to make sure we got all of that Goo Gone off and everything was nice and clean. Now let's go back to our second piece, that little flower. What I am going to do is I'm going to flip this over, and on the back side there's a small little hanger, and I just removed that little hanger piece and I'm just going to toss that. Now I'm just going to take that flower and just lightly flatten that out a little bit because I want that to lay nice and flat against our circle piece. Now to attach our flower to our piece, I'm using E6000. So I'm just going to add this E6000 to the back side of the flower. Once we have a good amount of glue there, we are going to take that flower and just add that right to the center of our piece. Now all we have to do is let that flower dry and our piece is complete. I just love how this turns out. This is such a simple project, but elegant and high-end. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this content, don't forget to hit that like or subscribe button. Thank you. At the Dollar Tree, they have these new wall decor pieces. I absolutely love this piece and the frame on here is so nice. One of the great things about this piece is that it's so easy to take apart. There's a few tabs on the back side so that you can remove that center piece of art. Now that center piece of art has an amazing texture on the front, and I really liked how that texture was there. So we're going to reuse this piece and keep the texture there. To start out, I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in the color white, and we're going to paint a nice coat over the entire piece. And this coat of paint really covered that artwork on the front of this piece. I ended up only doing one coat of paint. I was really surprised about that, but it covered so nice. Now, once our piece has completely dried, I took out one of these stencils that I had in my stash. I have no idea where I had this stencil from, but if I can find something similar, I'll try to link it down below. We're just going to position the stencil on our piece the best way that we would like to make this work. And I found that this works really well with traditional stencils, not with the silk screens. Now, once you have that stencil positioned the way that you would like, I'm taking my painter's tape here, and I'm just going to go ahead and tape down the stencil so it doesn't move around. We want that nice and tight against our artwork. Now I'm going to take my Lawn Fundamental stencil paste, and this is in the color Pearl. And I found this while I was cleaning out my craft room, and I'm like, I'm going to try this out and use this on this piece. And it is a little bit thicker than chalk paste. And I'm applying it just like you would with chalk paste, but you're going to get a raised look. So you're going to have that fun texture coming through, which is why you want to do this with a regular stencil and not with the silk screens, because you want that textured look to come through on this. So while I'm applying my stencil paste, I want to tell you all about this playlist I'm a part of this month, Looks for Less DIY Inspiration. I co-host this every month with my good friend Lily at Lily D's Creation, and our guest host this month is Janice from Craftastic DIYs. This playlist is all about doing something that makes it look high-end, but we're not spending very much. We know that there's a budget out there. So if you'd like to see some of these fun creations, please check out the playlist. I'll link it down below. Thanks for watching, and back to our video. And once we are done applying our stencil paste, I'm going to go ahead and remove the stencil while everything is wet. I'm going to wash my stencil, and then I'm going to come back with that same stencil and add a few more flowers to the bottom piece of our artwork. And we'll go ahead and repeat the same steps where we're taping it down, adding our stencil paste with a squeegee, and removing it while it's wet. And I'm going to do that till my whole piece is completely full of flowers. And once you're satisfied with your stenciling, we're going to go ahead and let this dry for about an hour. It probably was dry to the touch in a half an hour, but since I hadn't worked very much with this medium before, I went a full hour to make sure everything was nice and dry. Now, once everything was dry, I am going to re-put our artwork into this frame. Now, this piece is very neutral, and that is one of the things that I like about it, because I know I can put this in different places in my house. However, if you don't want that more of a neutral look, you could take a different color paint and paint the background a different color, even a light pink or blue or something that goes with your decor, and then do the flowers on top in the white, or you can do vice versa, where you find a different color for your stencil paste, and then you would be able to do that on top of the white. Now, once we have this in our frame, our piece really starts to stand out. I just love how these flowers turned out. They have such a fun texture to them, and having that on that textured background really makes it look really high-end. Let me know what you guys think about this piece down in the comments below. And would you do this in a different color? If so, tell me what color you would prefer. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you enjoyed these Looks for Less DIYs, be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to check out the playlist down in the description box below. As always, please remember, craft more, stress less.